I am with the inscrutable David Cannon at Pink22. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Barclay. Thank you.
Just really want to have a quick chat with you about where we are in the industry. You know, what are you seeing at the moment? What do you think is landing? What do you think needs to be developed? And the work that you do, I mean, you consult, a bit of training and so on. What are you hearing from people?
Don't know where to start. I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is that as much as the industry is moving forward, there is still a great need to focus on the basics. We should never assume that the basics have been taken care of. Still a lot of questions around what exactly is a service? How is that different to a product? What is a CMDB? How do you go about capturing the right information, making sure it's accurate? So a lot of these basic concepts need to be taken care of as the organization is moving forward faster and faster and faster.
Is that a kind of two-speed thing? So, I mean, is there a certain type of organization that just needs that help or not? Because, I mean, is the kind of unicorn type organization that starts now?
I think every organization that I've spoken to or worked with in the last 5 years has some level of they need some level of focus on the basics. I think also what's happening though is that more and more organizations are seeing that gap between the pure IT technology management and the type of technology leader that works very closely within the business units themselves. And I think that gap is growing and growing. And so we're seeing a lot more of the technical skills really moving more and more into the background and into the back office. And we're seeing a lot more of the leadership skills moving more and more into the business units themselves. And that means having to learn a whole bunch of new skills. You know, things like talking the language of business, which is finance. It's no longer about does the technology work? It's about when it works, what is it helping the organization to achieve? And if it doesn't work, what is the impact on the organization's objectives? And it's not about fixing the technology, it's about fixing how the organization is working. That's a whole different skill set.
Do you think that we have done enough to get that kind of message across? I mean, back to the thing about still the basics. Do you think, or let's turn it into positive, what do you think we need to do to get those messages out more clearly and that kind of knowledge out more clearly?
Well, I think being very clear and consistent about what these basics are and how they work within our organization. The whole technology world has changed. So we're using cloud. Cloud works very differently to on-premise technology. We're using machine learning and artificial intelligence and so on. And those basics work very differently in those environments. They have to be applied across. So I think it's really important for us to say is not to just assume that the basics were taken care of 5 years ago or 10 years ago and that the tools will simply keep up. They don't. You have to keep revisiting them. You have to keep consistently articulating the message. This is what a service is. This is how we manage services. This is what's important to know about those services. Here's where we get that data or that information from. Here's how we use it, etc., etc.
I mean, that's really interesting. Just finally, what do you think, and just specifically around ITIL, what would you like to see going forward? I mean, you've been very heavily involved in 4 and a couple of books there. What do you think's the next level of demand on that?
Well, I think first of all, we as a community of service managers need to be very proud of the fact that we're service managers. I think very often we hear about all of these other approaches and frameworks out there, and ITIL is just one of them. And people are telling us, well, maybe ITIL isn't the best possible thing. Quite honestly, we're service managers. We should be proud of that. We should own the intellectual property that we've created, that we use. Don't follow it slavishly by any means, but absolutely adopt it and adopt from other frameworks as needed. But I think I think we really need to be proud of who we are. We really need to own our profession, and we need to be encouraging people to follow the guidelines, or at least consult the guidelines that are provided in ITIL or other frameworks as they apply to us. And I don't think we should say, I don't think that we should ever see ourselves as anything less because we are just service managers. We are actually the people that make the organization work, and we should be proud of that. We should own it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Dave, thank you very much.
You're
See you
welcome.
the next time.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.